So today, we're going to chart a journey into some of the deepest territory there is, the human mind. We're going to follow Carl Jung as he deciphers a map, not of the world, but of the soul itself. A map drawn from the strange language of dreams and the forgotten art of alchemy.
And Virgil, well, he really sets the stage for us here. The journey into our own unconscious, it's easy enough to start. Anyone can fall into that world. But to come back out of it, transformed and whole, now that is the real work. That's the challenge we're about to explore.
So what are we working with here? The entire investigation, it's built on this mountain of evidence. Over 400 dreams and visions, all recorded in just 10 months. And the person having them, not some mystic or poet, this was a man with a formal scientific education, which, gives us this fascinating paradox right from the start. A deeply rational mind producing a flood of what seems like completely irrational stuff. And that leaves us to the big question, right? The central mystery. Because these visions, Jung was convinced they weren't just random psychic noise. They were messages. They were part of a coherent story, just told in a language of symbols. The real question became, what on earth was this story about? The journey kicks off, as it so often does, with a series of just bewildering experiences. Things that seem totally disconnected and make absolutely no logical sense to the conscious, waking mind. Just think about these first messages coming from the inner world. He dreams he's putting on a stranger's hat, maybe a sign of taking on a new, different personality. He sees a huge flood that swallows up the land, leaving him totally isolated. He's beckoned by these mysterious female figures. And then he hears a voice, clear as day, that says, "First, I must get away from father." Now, on the surface, this is just chaos. But Jung suspected there was a hidden order to it all.
Okay, so to crack this case, Jung knew the old rulebook wasn't going to cut it. He needed a new key, a totally radical way of looking at psychology that treated the unconscious not as some misbehaving child, but as an equal partner in the conversation. And this all hinges on a core idea he called the objective psyche. This is a game changer. It's the idea that the unconscious isn't just a dusty attic for your repressed memories. No, it's an autonomous, living reality, a world with its own logic, its own goals, and its own language. And if you want to understand it, you have to start by respecting its independence.
And this, right here, is Jung's big breakthrough. He realized the secret wasn't hiding in any single dream. That's like trying to understand a novel by reading one random sentence. The real meaning, the story, it only starts to make sense when you look at the pattern across the entire series of dreams. The sequence is the context.
And then, out of all that initial chaos, something starts to happen. A central clue begins to show up again and again. A powerful, organizing symbol that acted like a kind of psychic compass, pointing the way forward.
The first time it appears, it's a snake, an ancient symbol of transformation. And it coils itself into a circle around the dreamer. It's like it's creating a protected space, a sacred circle, where the dangerous work of confronting the unconscious can happen safely.
Then, the symbol pops up again, but this time it's different. It's organic. It's a blue flower he just finds on the side of the road. A little hint of a new, more natural kind of wholeness that's starting to blossom from inside him. And wow, this next one really shows you how the symbol is changing, evolving. He has a vision of a skull, a symbol of death, and it transforms into a red ball, like the sun. And then that ball becomes a woman's head, glowing with light. The circle literally transforms from a symbol of death into one of life and light.
So Jung is seeing these circles everywhere, and he recognizes what's happening. He gives it its proper name, Mandala, from the Sanskrit word for circle. And this isn't just a pretty shape. It's a psychological blueprint for a new center of the personality. Not the ego. That's just the center of our conscious world. This is the self, the center of the total person, conscious and unconscious, all of it together. Now, figuring out this mandala thing, that was huge. But the real bombshell, the thing that changed everything, was when Jung realized that these modern, very personal dream symbols weren't new at all. They had a hidden history in a very, very unlikely place.
I mean, think about it. Where would a scientifically minded guy in the 20th century have seen this stuff? The answer wasn't in some modern psychology textbook. It was buried in the strange, mystical texts of medieval alchemy. Just look at this side by side. You can't ignore these parallels. The dreamer's snake making a circle, That's the alchemical Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail. His protected space? That's the temenos, the sealed container where the alchemists believed transformation happened. The way the circle was divided into 4 parts? That's a classic alchemical problem called squaring the circle. And the end goal, this whole integrated self, it's just like the legendary philosopher's stone, something that seems worthless but is actually priceless. You see, this quote from an old alchemical text gets right to the heart of it. The alchemists, they weren't just trying to literally make gold. It was a psychological process. They understood that to create something truly valuable, you have to bring the opposites together, the light and the dark, conscious and unconscious, good and evil. Okay, so this is it. We're at the resolution of our mystery. We finally understand the purpose of this long, strange trip through the unconscious. The point wasn't just to analyze the symbols, it was to actually achieve the thing they were all pointing toward. And Jung gave this whole process a name: individuation. You can think of it as the psychological version of the alchemist's great work. It's the lifelong job of becoming who you were truly meant to be, by integrating all those vast, unknown parts of your unconscious into one unified personality. It's the creation of the self. So after almost a whole year, after hundreds of dreams, it all comes to a head. The dreamer has this one last, spectacular vision that pulls together all the themes we've been seeing, the circles, the number 4, the transformations, into one single, incredible, dynamic model. What he saw was something he called a world clock. It had 2 circles that intersected, one vertical and blue, the other horizontal with 4 colors. And this whole thing was moving, governed by 3 different rhythms, from a tiny little pulse to a great big one. This wasn't just a static picture, it was a living, breathing model of the integrated self, a cosmic machine running in perfect harmony. And the feeling this vision gave him, it was profound. This man, who started his journey totally confused and conflicted, now experienced what he called the most sublime harmony. The inner war was finally over, the opposites had come together, the self had finally emerged. So let's boil this all down. What are the big takeaways from this incredible psychological journey? First, the unconscious isn't silent. It's talking to us all the time in this powerful language of symbols. Second, our most personal inner journeys are often walking along these ancient paths, echoing the myths of all of humanity. The destination is individuation. It's a tough path for sure, but a deeply rewarding one. And finally, becoming whole doesn't mean getting rid of your dark side. It means embracing it, integrating it as a necessary part of the complete picture. Jung's work is basically telling us that the blueprint for our own completion, the map to becoming who we're meant to be, it's already inside us, dormant, just waiting to be discovered. The map is there. So the only real question left is a personal one for each of us. Are we brave enough to actually follow it?